Hello guys, and today I'll be covering a multiplayer first-person shooter game series, respectively the Counter-Strike series. The objective in the game is for teams of terrorists and counter-terrorists to battle out and to respectively inflict an act of terrorism or to prevent it, ranging from bomb plants as a terrorist and preventing it with bomb defusals as a counter-terrorist. Each piece of footage you will see shortly will be featured for only the official releases by Valve in a timeline order. Please enjoy. So up first we have the original Counter-Strike, infamously known as CS 1.6. Released initially as a Half-Life mod back in 1999, it instantly became a really big hit in the community and received a lot of downloads. Valve later released their own official release of the game in 2000 after buying out the rights of the game from the creators of the mod, Gooseman and Jess Cliff, in order to eventually release later titles. Once patchwork had been begun by Valve to format the mod into a functioning game, which saw many patches and updates, last of which being CS 1.6, the game received a lot of recognition, enough to get tournaments going with competing teams with prize money, mostly funded by sponsorships from peripheral company specialists like SteelSeries and Razer. So next up in the Counter-Strike franchise is Counter-Strike Condition Zero, which started late development in late 2000. However, the studios of Valve at the time were mostly dedicated to the development of another game known as Team Fortress 2, which in turn led to Ritual Gaming to produce the game. Most of the previous developments were abolished by them to create instead a single-player experience with 20 random missions. Upon release of the game, the popularity had been diminished, which had led to split reviews of the game. The developments by Ritual were seen as a threat to the franchise, which led to Valve to ultimately pass on the project to Turtle Rock Studios to complete further development, which included an improved bot AI. In addition, the game used the notable Half-Life engine, Gold SRC, which was also used in the early game series franchise of Quake. The game was finally released in 2004 after many delays and setbacks, yet even after release the game was rated only 65 on Metacritic, due to the graphical aspects of the game not meeting to the demands and standards at the time. The game was then quickly followed up with a further entry to the series titled Counter-Strike Source, which I'll be talking about now. So now we are brought to Counter-Strike Source, which was released in August 2004. It was also the first game in the franchise to feature a physics engine known as Source Engine, which is still used in the further titles to this day. The game became a fan favourite upon release and helped regain the game's status as one of the best shooters around for its time. However, former original CS 1.6 players couldn't transfer their skills to the new iteration of Counter-Strike with ease. But for the time the game was made, the dynamic physics engine was the best at its time, and the new bot AI system implemented into the game was a feature unheard of at the time, which was more user-friendly for new players to learn the basic mechanics of the game, which was a key factor for the growth of the game overall. Although the graphical aspects of the game were mediocre for its time, the mechanics of the game allowed a high skill ceiling for the game which no other game had at the time. And next we'll be talking about Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And now finally we have Counter-Strike Global Offensive, also known as CSGO. The game was released publicly in 2012 and it is still the latest release in the franchise, and since then it has been regularly updated for half a decade. Just like its counterpart Counter-Strike Source, the game still runs on Source Engine. However, a new engine called Source 2 is expected to be implemented later this year. CSGO is by far the most popular game in the franchise, with statistics of Steam's player base stating that average player count can easily reach 500,000 on a daily and upwards of nearly 1 million in monthly peaks, securing the game as the most popular shooter on Steam. The large popularity is a result of ongoing tournaments that are streamed onto platforms like YouTube and Twitch, and sponsors by companies like Intel and HTC, along with gaming peripheral companies such as Corsair, HyperX and SteelSeries. And lastly, I'd like to thank you for watching my video on the history of Counter-Strike. Bye.